Hey guys, Harrison back at it once again for a brand new video for you, and welcome to episode 2 of Dre TV, the motorsport show where we talk about Formula 1 and MotoGP here on the Harrison 101 HD channel, featuring me and possibly other members of the F1 community as well. First of all, thanks to everybody for the amazing feedback on episode 1. I do really appreciate that. You guys all seem to like it, and the criticism of my camera setup was perfectly legitimate. It wasn't ideal. What I was using was my old digital camera from like 2009 when I was video blogging back in the day. And it turns out the microphone on that camera is awful. I mean, I added plus 12 decibels to the sound editing in the post-production, and it still sounded like crap. So now I managed to find my old webcam again, which is in high definition, and I managed to find my snowball microphone to hook up to this thing. So now hopefully I should look and sound better. Hey ladies, call me. Anyway, in the meantime, in this episode we'll be talking about the Australian Grand Prix that's just gone by in Formula 1, Nico Rosberg's dominant win, Kevin Magnussen's incredible debut, McLaren's double podium, and an updated look at the power rankings alongside Daniel Ricciardo's disqualification. We'll be talking about the race predictor and your chance to win prizes on this show. Yeah, I do prizes now. The budget on this show is enormous. And in the meantime, we also talk about the MotoGP season preview as the season kicks off in Qatar this weekend. So, without further ado, let's take it away and let's look at the Australian Grand Prix. So the new season kicked off last week in Albert Park, and boy was it interesting. For a little while at least. Kevin Magnussen nearly ended up on the grass at the start, but it was the other Mercedes in Nico Rosberg, yeah, he exists too, that shot ahead while Kamui Kobayashi had a braking issue and collected Felipe Massa at turn 1 in the process. His dreadful Ferrari luck seems to be carrying over. Kamui avoided a penalty due to the fault being mechanical and not a driver issue. Also, kind of a bummer that we were robbed of a fight between the two Mercedes drivers as Lewis Hamilton had an engine issue. To quote Top Gear, someone's only going home on 5 cylinders, and had to retire early on, as well as reigning world champion Sebastian Vettel, who had another MGU failure and was out on lap 3. There was a lot of fun early passes though, and as Ricciardo and Magnussen surged off in their fight for second, a second group of Hülkenberg, Alonso, Bottas, Verne, Fiat, Button and Raikkonen formed up behind. Bottas was surging through the field after his gearbox failure earlier in the weekend, showing tremendous speed and courage while overtaking until he grazed the wall at turn 9 and needed an extra stop, luckily avoiding suspension damage in the process. Hülkenberg was replicating 2013, keeping Alonso and the rest of the pack at bay, with Ferrari once again showing debatable strategy by keeping Alonso behind until the pit stops for him to finally come through on the undercut. His teammate Raikkonen though seemed to be struggling and would eventually finish towards the tail end of the points. And don't forget Jenson Button, whose race judgment is still second to none, as through careful driving and a brilliantly timed pit stop due to a safety car, he eventually finished 4th after starting 11th. If you had a sweepstake at how many cars finished the race and you said 14, congratulations, you won the pool. Marcus Ericsson had an oil pressure failure, as well as both Lotus cars suffering from ERS system failures, and even crazier, only 10 cars finished on the same racing lap, with both Saubers a lap down, Chilton 2 laps down, and Jules Bianchi 8 laps down. But it was Nico Rosberg who dominated from turn 1 to the checkered flag, winning by 26 seconds from Red Bull's Daniel Ricciardo in second and narrowly pipping rookie Kevin Magnussen for third, completing a podium that hadn't seen a world champion on it for the first time since the German Grand Prix of 2009. Kevin became the highest finishing rookie in a Grand Prix, spookily enough, since Lewis Hamilton at this very race in 2007, while driving a McLaren from 4th. Told you it was spooky. Also, a deserved mention to Daniel Fiat, who broke Sebastian Vettel's record of being the youngest scorer in the history of Formula 1 at just 19 years old. But there will be drama afoot as Daniel Ricciardo was disqualified post-race for using a higher rate of fuel flow into their engines than the FIA's rule of 100 kilos per hour. Red Bull claimed the methods of measuring provided by the FIA were not reliable and are appealing that decision. More on that on next week's episode for certain. I know a lot of people have been asking me about this, but what do I make of Ricciardo's DQ? I feel bad for the guy. It's one thing to have the drive of your career, but to lose it at your home Grand Prix through no fault of your own is a double bummer. And it throws a wrench into my power rankings, which I'll get to in a bit. So what did I make of the race at large? Well, to be honest, I think this was an exciting opener more because of the wave of genuine unpredictability entering it on the way. No one genuinely had any idea what was going to happen on the way in, and even if the race itself was a tad flat beyond the safety car, I think it will satisfy the fans because it answered a lot of the questions we fans had going in. Sort of. I wonder, will the fans get bored of Mercedes dominating if the trend continues like they have with Red Bull in the past? Because if you painted Nico's Mercs in purple and blue and changed his helmet around, you'd think it was Australia 2012 all over again, only someone painted the Williams in reverse colours. As for the engines, I'm in two minds. I don't think it's worth paying much attention to this, as we'll all get used to them by Shanghai and the bitching will cease, but the fact remains, it's a tad quiet for my liking. The sound itself is nice, the turbo hiss is fun, especially on the onboard T cameras. I just wish there was more, you know. This Aussie Grand Prix wasn't a classic by any stretch, but it will set a decent benchmark for the rest of the season ahead. I'll score it 5 Vettel helmets out of 10. A 1 is basically any race Sebastian Vettel won in 2013, while 10 is the full boat 2011 Canada kinds of crazy. That's my new review scale, and everyone loves numbers, so we'll see how this one holds out. But how does the race in Australia affect my power rankings? Let's find out. So with Australia in the books, we've got some reshuffling to do. Here's the major changes after the opening race. McLaren are the biggest movers up from 4th to 2nd. McLaren looked comfortable the whole way through the weekend, as if their 2013 season didn't exist. They look, dare I say it, back. Magnussen pulled off an incredible debut, and despite getting a little help from the safety car, Jensen's 3rd making for a double podium is exactly what the F1 doctor ordered for the biggest disappointment from last year. McLaren swapped with Ferrari as they dropped to 4th. Ferrari just didn't quite look clued in during the weekend. Raikkonen struggled, and Alonso did the best he could as usual. He remains the scrappiest scrapper in the scrap. But all in all, 18 points isn't a terrible haul for Ferrari, going in as the 2nd best team on paper. Once they solve their electrical problems, I'm sure they'll be okay. Ricciardo have also jumped up 2 spots from 11th to 9th, because while they look as slow as they always have, at least they finished, which is more than can be said for Lotus and Caterham. Then there's the curious case of Red Bull and where to put them after this weekend. It was a tale of 2 weekends as they looked solid in practice, and Ricciardo was exceptional in quali and the race. But Vettel had engine management issues across the board, and Ricciardo was driving illegally with too much power, which places a cloud over their overall performance. On pace alone, I have them roughly 4th behind McLaren, Mercedes and Williams, but the overall awful weekend meant I could only put them in 5th place, which amazingly is still an improvement. We'll see the true Red Bull in Malaysia, I reckon. Also, I have Toro Rosso ahead of Force India now, as both TRs finished ahead of Sergio Perez, who was largely very flat during the race, finishing 35 seconds behind his teammates. But as we head to Malaysia, Mercedes are by far the top of the pile. I think they have at least half a second on the entire field at least right now, and will be very hard to chase down. Here's the entire list. Let me know what you think in the comments. Hope you enjoyed that. Like I said, if you have any comments on the Australian Grand Prix or any questions you'd like to post to me in the comments, go right ahead and I'll try my best to reply to each and every one of them. A very intriguing kind of benchmark race for 2014, in my opinion at least. So, let's talk about the race predictor and the chance to win prizes on this show. You may have seen the trend recently of people joining the Castrol GP Predictor League at gppredictor.com, where I have to give a big shout out to Owen Quemby for coming up with the idea. You may know him as Owen TQ128 on YouTube and on Twitter. He's the internet's Valtteri Bottas fan, as I like to call him, and he actually came up with the idea to have a race predictor league format for the league, and the idea of possible prizes for whoever does well in the league, and I thought, that's a great idea, let's do it. So, if you go to gppredictor.com and you put the link in the I'll put the link in the description for the league and join it, you have a chance of winning some great prizes. I'll give a shout out on air to the top 3 performers every week, and I'll keep updating the standings after the races go by, and I'll keep you guys posted on that. And the top 3 at the end of the season will win a Harrison 101 t-shirt, and the overall winner will win a copy of F1 2014 on the console of their choice, which should be awesome. So all you got to do is click the link, join the league, and compete and try and predict who does well. Shout out to Arava, who leads the way right now with 80 points. I believe he got a bonus 10 for correctly predicting the race winner. He got 10 for Rosberg, he got 10 for Button finishing 3rd. I think he got 10 for Alonso finishing 4th. I think he also got 10 for Raikkonen finishing 7th, as well as 5 for predicting Hamilton on pole and Rosberg getting fastest lap. So an incredible performance to get 80 points like that right off the bat, especially when it's the most unpredictable race we've probably seen in Formula 1 in recent memory. So well done to Arav on that one. Shout out to Nina, who's also in 2nd, just 3 points behind with 77. You'll see me in, like, I think I'm in 14th place with 40. I didn't have the best day out there either. But yeah, I hope you guys join the league. You got a chance to win prizes, big prizes as well. Like I said, copies of it from 2014 and a Harrison 101 t-shirt coming very soon, by the way. So join. You got nothing to lose and everything to gain. So I look forward to seeing you guys in that league and competing against you guys real soon. Anywho, let's cut to our MotoGP season preview. The MotoGP season kicks off this weekend in Qatar under the beautiful desert floodlights, and get ready for one of the most exciting seasons in the top class in recent memory. Right at the top of the factory runners, we have the second coming of one of the freshest, yet already most intense rivalries in the sport's history, as baby-faced assassin and 2013 world champion record breaker Repsol Honda's Marc Marquez goes head-to-head with 2010 and 2012 world champion Yamaha's Jorge Lorenzo, the pound-for-pound king against one of the most naturally gifted riders this sport has ever seen. Ever since Jerez 2013 and the bump that shook the world, these two have been scrapping ever since. And I can't wait to see how it goes this time around, especially with the game changer that Marc Marquez is going into the season with a broken leg, and whether he can hit or walk the ground running right from the off. But that's not all. Let's not forget Dani Pedrosa, who's desperate for a world championship as he enters his 10th season in the top class, and whether this could be the last hurrah for arguably the greatest rider ever in Valentino Rossi, and his new and possibly final chapter as he goes on without his head crew chief Jerry Burgess. Don't forget to look out for some of the more exciting rookies and newly switched teams slightly further down, such as Scott Redding's debut, something British GP fans have a lot to be excited about, alongside veteran Alvaro Bautista, and Paul Espargaro moving up to the top class with Tech 3 after his Moto2 World Championship last season, despite him being out early on with a broken collarbone just 2 laps from the end of testing. And of course, the big switch of Ducati suddenly switching from a factory to an open class entrant, and the political havoc that it has caused. I'll talk more about it in a future episode when we have more time, but it's about as confusing as Sebastian Vettel's helmet wardrobe, only more colourful. Let's just say it's bound to get ugly before it gets better, even with the talented duo of Cal Crutchlow heading up to Ducati to partner up with old teammate Andrea Dovizioso. But there's even more, with MotoGP returning to Argentina in April, the return of Kawasaki with Mike D'Ameglio, and the much improved CRTs with NGM and Aspar using Yamaha and Honda power. Look out for Alex Espargaro, who's been on a charge in testing. Got all that? Maybe now you can see why I'm so excited. Check out the races on BT Sport, if you can afford that sort of thing. If not, don't worry. Toby Moody's providing the highlights over on ITV4 on the Monday after any Grand Prix, so check it out there too. Again, sorry I didn't really talk about Moto2 or Moto3 in that video. I was kind of pressed for time and I thought the script was getting... Because when you write scripts for this show, because this is the first for me, this is the first time I've ever written scripts for a format of show on my channel before. You write out the words and you think it's going to be really long, but when you actually get in front of a microphone and start talking, it's a lot shorter. It's a broadcasting trick I learned at uni where apparently the average person speaks at 3 words a second. And the whole script for this show is about 1700 or so. So, oh no, it's going to be really, really long, but it turns out it kind of isn't really. Guys to look out for in Moto 2, I reckon Tito Rabat will win the title. Look out in Moto 2 for Maverick Vinales, the Moto 3 World Champion. Luis Salom is going to be one to watch. Dominique Agata is going to be dangerous. Maybe Taka Nakagami can finally win his first race. So look out for all of those guys as well. In Moto 3, look out for Marc Marquez's little brother, Alex Marquez. Look out for Alex Rins, who was about 3 bike lengths away from being champion last year. And look out for Jack Miller, the Australian as well, who's been looking very, very strong in testing indeed. So look out for some of those guys as well in the lower classes if you're into that sort of thing. Like I said, BT Sport has the live rights for all the races this year, and they've also got the weird decision of making Melanie Sykes their anchor. She must have been busy cooking with Gino D'Acampo on ITV or something, but BT Sport has all the races live, but if you haven't got BT Sport, don't worry too much. ITV4 have the rights for all the reruns and are doing a highlight package show on the Monday night after the races. So I believe that's 8 PM on a Monday night. I believe Toby Moody's on commentary, which is excellent because he's now with the ITV crew doing British Superbikes this year. So it's fantastic to hear we've got Toby Moody still doing something MotoGP related this year, I hope. It's not been confirmed, but I'm pretty sure they'd get Moody to do the commentary for it. It's just a shame they broke up the brilliant commentary tag team there they have of Toby Moody, Julian Ryder, and Neil Spolders on Eurosport, because it was such a brilliant combination, and I really do miss them as a team. I even missed the BBC because guys like Azzy Farney were really good as well, and Matt Roberts was a very solid anchor for MotoGP over there as well. But I've spoken about that in previous videos before. Anywho, just before I go, if you enjoyed the episode, please leave a like and a thumbs up. Comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Leave me some questions if you want me to answer stuff as well. I might even do an Ask Harrison segment in future episodes, because remember, this is going to be a weekly show, so if you want any questions, I might do an Ask Dre segment to add to the show as well, because this show's only going to get bigger and better as time goes on. Watch out, the production value will be set to increase as well. Trust me, I've got some plans in store for that. And if you've got your own segment you want to submit to the show and you want to see broadcast in front of an audience of literally some people, feel free just to send me a message on YouTube or find me on Facebook or Twitter, links in the description, and we can talk about that, and hopefully we'll get you on the show as well. But until next time, I've been Harrison101. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll catch you guys next time. Sayonara.